Well, Helene came in and is still causing trouble in the U.S. We're going to talk a little bit about what it meant for the parks. Also, Star-Lord is now somehow at EPCOT. We have words about that and some Dinoland news all tonight on ParksCenter. Welcome to ParksCenter for September 29th, 2024. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys, as always, for being with us. We appreciate you. If you have not already, please subscribe to WDWNT-TV for all the great content, and also give this video a thumbs up as it helps people to find us. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a lot of things, but to talk about a lot of things, we need a lot of people, and we got them. They're right here. Starting with Kamila.
Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday. Hope everyone is okay after Helene.
Yes, indeed. And we're going to talk about that right off the bat. And speaking of Helene, right down there in Florida, it's Desi.
Here I am,
our survivor,
fresh from a hurricane. I literally just got internet back like 30 minutes ago.
Well, we appreciate you using it wisely to join us. Thank you so much. And of course, Mr. Patrick Hackett.
Hey, howdy, hey.
Ooh, can you say that? That's TM, I feel like. Okay.
I'll take it up with HR after.
Yes. Okay, so thank you guys for being with us. I know it's been a rough week. We've been tracking the aftermath of Hurricane Helene that went through. It hit the Florida Panhandle pretty hard on Thursday into Friday, and then moved up into North Carolina, the western part of North Carolina. For those of you not familiar, the mountains are just in a historic nightmare right now with loss of power and water and roads, and it's just our thoughts and prayers go out for those folks. We don't need to belittle any of those tragedies with what we do here. We just do a silly little Disney show once a week that hopefully brings happiness to everybody, but we do send our thoughts and prayers out to those folks who are still recovering from Helene. One of the things that has always been interesting to me about Disney parks is their quick reaction, especially in a place like Florida, to disasters. And they have done amazing jobs in the past. I've actually been in Florida and ridden out a hurricane at a Disney resort before, and they were just nothing but top notch. Obviously you never know how to prepare for these things. Sometimes you over prepare and nothing happens. Sometimes you under prepare, but they always seem to make the guests feel safe, take all the precautions that they need to, and then of course they go in and put it back together at the end. So this time there were a couple cancellations at the very last minute. They canceled Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, and then they also canceled some nighttime entertainment over at Universal. They canceled HHN, which I feel like is probably a harder deal to do because a lot of people kind of like look forward all year long to HHN. So hopefully people got replaced on that. But I want to go to you, Desi, because you've actually been through this. I know that you guys had your troubles down there. Was it scary where you were? And then are you back
Speaking of the troubles, normal? Rob.
Oh, she's out.
Desi is not back to normal. She lost internet.
All right. Well, then, Patrick, I'll go to you on this because when it comes to the parks, again, I don't know if you've ever been there for a hurricane or not.
Oh, she's back.
We'll give her a minute to prepare. Desi will come to you next, but Patrick, any thoughts on Disney?
I have never traveled down. I've traveled during hurricane season plenty of times. I've been very lucky, very fortunate. I mean, I see people out there in the torrential downpour. I'm like, what is even open right now that you're trudging through the parks? Listen, once in a lifetime trips. I get it. I understand. I have the privilege of being able to go multiple times a year and but like, be safe, get travel insurance. What's really cool is when they lower the castle, you have to be there for that, though. You have to really see them lower the castle, and they actually, a giant golf club comes out and just spaceship Earth out of harm's way.
Dude, you are talking to people who know that that's a myth. I mean, come on. I mean, I guess that's why you could say it so freely. Yeah, it's fine. I that's one of the first things, though, that people are like, oh my gosh, especially before the internet. They were like, oh, by the way, you heard, right? This is the castle lowers to protect it. Desi, before you decided to step away, what we were going to say was we were going to ask you, how were things for you through Helene? Was it scary? Are you back to are you back in business?
I thought I was, and then I lost internet, and then I hope it's back again. Let's see how long this live stream lasts. I will tell you, going to the parks during a hurricane, one of the best experiences I've ever had. I didn't go this time, but I went during Dorian, and it was the grand opening of Galaxy's Edge, and there was nobody there, and it was fantastic. We got a picture in front of the Millennium Falcon with nobody there at opening weekend. I loved it.
Now let's back up a second and hope that what you're not recommending is that people plan their visits to the parks around the hurricane, because you can't be promised that. That may be one of those things, kind of like when COVID was a thing and we walked in and looked down like Frontierland and we're like, wait, is this park even open? This is crazy.
I'm saying
it was nice.
You don't have to cancel your trips.
But you're not saying schedule them.
Worst case, even if the parks close because of a hurricane, they're still going to have like characters come out in the hotels and stuff, and they're still going to try to make it a magical time for you.
Yes, exactly what we were talking about. They closed Typhoon Lagoon temporarily, and then they reopen it. Who's running over to do a water park? You might as well just leave it closed the whole time. I mean, I guess the money's already been spent out there.
You're already wet.
Yeah,
whatever.
Sure. Same thing. Why not? All right. Before we move on from this, Kamala, I wanted to ask you, because I know that you've dealt with people who have scheduled trips. Do people like start banging on doors asking for refunds, or are they like, man, they really treated us well?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of people, if they're not there already, they're trying to move their trip. They're trying to move their plane tickets. Like most people who have to travel to get to Disney and who have spent the money are not trying to be there once the hurricane has been announced. Also, what I notice is even for people who are already there, they're trying to get out before the hurricane gets there. So most guests are not necessarily trying to hang around if there's a hurricane, and Disney is really great, honestly, about working with people through that. The other thing I will just say quickly is, as someone who has to travel to get to the parks and who has gotten stuck in a hurricane, I thought that I would find it so much more of an interesting experience than I did. But really, you're just kind of upset because things are closing early. Even if the parks are open, a lot of things that you want to do aren't available. Like I got stuck in one during it was EPCOT's food and wine, and like a lot of the booths that I was hoping to visit were not open. Some were, but some weren't. The park like either will close early or it will open late. I mean, it's not a fun experience. The way that I feel like sometimes it seems like, oh, that might be like something to put on my bucket list, but I don't recommend it.
Yeah, I actually, just rain bums me out, especially if it's a hard ticketed event and you're like, hey, again, HHN, like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I went when it was raining and I was just like, well, I hope it stops. I hope it stopped. It never did. But it's you just like you trudge on, especially in a hard ticket event. If you're down there for a vacation, you have other options where you can go somewhere else for cover if it's raining, not hurricaning. Obviously, hurricane they like to shut things down all over. But again, a hard ticket event, I'm glad they canceled those and hope and refunded everybody. But it is probably disappointing to some people who plan their trip around Halloween, get there, and then find out that there's not going to be a party. Maybe they shipped them the M&Ms they were going to be, trudging around the park looking for. I don't know how that works. Probably, Desi, what they do is they just like the magnets that they mail.
Oh my God, don't get me started.
I just want to say one more time that, especially with all the new hotel construction, can we get an indoor pool somewhere? Can we get an indoor pool somewhere?
That's crazy. Like I literally never occurred to me that there wasn't one. That is absolutely nuts. I need to do something because we have a super chat system that lets us know about super chats. And the past 2 weeks it's been down. It's back up. So if you feel so moved tonight, please throw up a super chat. But one of our biggest patrons is Jungle Cruiser, and Jungle Cruiser had a super chat for us last week that we missed. So I want to throw that out real quick. And we were talking about water bottle fillers, and he said, if you think Dasani is expensive, a liter of smart water is $9.50. Lord and Butter, water, good golly, and we'll talk about that later. But we actually have also, just speaking of Jungle Cruiser has dropped in with another super chat. So, and this one is not showing up in the system. There we go. That's awesome. But so we're going to go ahead and, Desi's throwing fireworks. We're going to go ahead and do music. Jungle Cruiser said, had a magical day at Disneyland Resort yesterday, was able to buy the Martha Blanding and Tim O'Day book, Groundbreaking Magic, the story of the first black hostess. She's also the newest Disney legend. Amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jungle Cruiser, for the super chat. We appreciate it. Yes, when we went to D23, man, she was amazing during her Disney Legends. And I think that's still available on, wow, that's not distracting at all. I think she's that big pineapple coming up. Exactly.
Desi deserves a Lapu Lapu right now.
Whatever you need. But she was electric when she went up on stage to get her award. Her speech was great, and everyone there just was fawning over her like crazy. Derek Huff came out, brought her up on stage. I think it's still on Disney Plus if you haven't seen it, the Disney Legends Award, and she was up there. And then she was also there signing the book that she had with Tim O'Day. So thank you again, Jungle Cruiser, for that. I appreciate it. Let's go on to, this is the cringiest thing for me that exists. Because there's a character in the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and his name is Star-Lord. I'm pretty sure he's on my wife's hall pass list, but I'm just saying, and it's the character, I think, not Chris Pratt, I tell myself. But he is, like, pretty cool, and obviously Chris Pratt got pretty buff for this part. And then they showed him at like the dance parties that they would have in the parks, and he was also in a meet and greet for Baby Groot at Disney's Hollywood Studios. And I was in there, I was like, that doesn't look anything like Star-Lord, nothing. And I'm like, you have the ability to put a mask on him and do the meet and greet with recordings. Like, you could have easily done this. Like, it's already written out for you. And Disney was like, no, thank you. This is the video they released with this dude. His energy didn't even match, but it's just like they gave some guy a jacket and headphones and said, go around and get EPCOT and just be goofy. So that was to announce that they were going to start doing Star-Lord-ish, I'm saying, meet and greets at Disney's or at EPCOT in Florida. So for those of you who don't know, and I think 99% of y'all do, Universal has the rights to Marvel anything on this side of the Mississippi. And so Disney can't put Marvel stuff in their parks. That's how they get a way around it, by things like the Xandar, pavilion and stuff like that, so that you're not really seeing the outside, say, Marvel, but you see it on the inside. So them getting away with this seems like another sneaky move. But this guy, what, really? This guy? Come on. Patrick, am I way off base? You're going to tell me I'm way off base on this.
I'm not. I'm actually, you already took my point. Like, just put the mask on him. I mean, you can't have anyone that looks like Ryan Reynolds, so you just keep Deadpool's mask on. Although I have heard that Deadpool is Ryan Reynolds like 4 or 5 times a week. Actually, Rob McElhenney comes by and is Wolverine sometimes too. It's really impressive. Please just put the mask on him. It looks ridiculous. It's bad. The thing about the difference between Disneyland and Disney World is not just the whole Universal debacle. It's that there's actors in Universal and in California, and you have people who might look a little bit different than what we have here. We're not getting those Hollywood types. And just put the mask on. Put the mask on, Star-Lord. I'm sorry. Your face is lovely. You're a lovely human being, but put a mask on.
No, he's the dead ringer. I don't know what you're saying. Like, he's spot on. Yeah. Like, that's him.
I've seen worse.
Somebody in the wig department needs to be fired.
All right, Desi, what's up?
The dancing video guy, that's not the same guy from the video, right?
No.
That guy at least looks somewhat. The guy from the video, not at all. The guy from the video looks like Uncle Rico. But yeah, I don't understand why we can't just hire guys who are brunette and a little bit scruffy. I don't understand why we can't do that with this character. I don't understand why we can't just hire a brunette woman to play Belle, a blonde woman to play Cinderella. Like, why why all of the wigs? I get it in concept, but it never looks quite right. Just hire people with the right hair, and it'll look a lot better. That's what I think.
Well, and
They're
to
better
Patrick's
wigs.
point, here's what the one looks like in California. It's really no, that's not. That's not. I'm messing with you. I'm sorry. What were you going to say,
The
Patrick?
wig is so bad. The wigs are so bad. That wig is bad. It's bad.
And
It looks
please
like
keep in
rockets on
mind.
his head.
Y'all come back now. You hear? But let's keep in mind because Henry and the okay, never mind. So let's keep in mind though that when we talk about how bad the wigs are at Disney, we don't mean the WDWNT Interglobe Society because just saying, but yes, the wig department, especially on the guys' side, like the guys are the worst. Like the Prince Erics sometimes
Eric,
are just
oh
like,
god, Eric's hair.
ooh,
Eric's
and
hair.
oh, Kamila's nodding. She's nodding.
Even on the ride, like even on the aerial ride, the hair just looks so bad. But I agree. I will say my favorite is seeing all the iterations of Naveen is actually the one to me that I'm just like, how come he always looks so different?
Yeah.
But
You know
Yeah.
what? Honestly, the Naveens I've seen, and again, Disneyland, to your point, Patrick, but the Naveen that I saw, like in the Magic Happens parade, I thought was great. But you're right, it probably is. He's very different from place to place. Aladdin, I mean,
Call
just
us
just
Aladdin.
putting that out there. There. Okay, so let's move on to this because I thought this was interesting, and apparently, uh, the video doesn't exist anymore. No, here it is. There was there at the Oogie Boogie Bash at Disneyland. They have a what is the word I'm looking for? Kingdom Hearts. They have a Kingdom Hearts set up with King Mickey and Donald, and I think maybe they sometimes put in Goofy. But as King Mickey was walking out, he dropped his drawers. And for those of you who are sensitive at home, I am going to show the video, so please be warned.
There was an intent.
Here comes Mickey.
oh no.
And
Oh no.
Oh.
freaking adorable, right? Like the most adorable like wardrobe malfunction of all time. That moving over and doing the whole thing, like that was cute. I feel like Patrick, what did you say? There was intent? What?
Well, you said he dropped his drawers. To me, there was like intent. I didn't watch it, and I was just like, "Oh, Mickey lost his pants." And then you tell me, "Oh no, we can't have Mickey out here drop the trowel."
I
That was
mean,
real
it's one of
adorable, though.
right. And Desi, you had not seen the video yet, right?
Oh my God. Oh, poor Mickey. I am glad though that, he he had full legs all the way up, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. What were you gonna say? Come on.
I'm upset a little bit because I was just at Oogie Boogie Bash last weekend and I did not see these characters at all, but there was so much that I just feel like we didn't get to everything we wanted to do. But I would have loved to see the Kingdom Hearts, like the characters in their Kingdom Hearts costumes, but
Well, they're
I
usually
didn't
down
know.
by the on the promenade where World of Color showing is. Like they put it down there, so it's not in the tree trails like everywhere else. It's kind of off to the side. And so if it was after dark when you went by, I could imagine you would totally miss it. But it's right down there, that multi-tiered level over in Paradise Gardens, and it's at the bottom of it, and they just do the setup. You know what I've seen before is I've seen a character come out and something is wrong, something is off, and the handler realizes this and will immediately take them backstage. Like immediately, like this, there's no question. It's like, oh, Goofy's not feeling well, and like take him backstage. And I was like, once you get them out that far in the open, you probably have to like figure out a solution on the fly because there wasn't a backstage area nearby to take Mickey to and have him like catch his breath or whatever. So anyway, I thought that was pretty freaking adorable. The little save that he's got, almost like he's a 3-year-old going, "Help me, help me with my pants." Yeah, it's one of those things. Let's move on to something that it could hurt a little
Rob,
bit. This is
we did have a super chat before we get going. I wanted to.
Oh, I appreciate you, sir. Thank you for
problem.
calling that out. Let's see if it's in the thing here, and I believe it is. I believe it is. So is this one, right?
Yep.
There we go. So this is from Rogue Lesser. It says Disney can use Guardians because they weren't included in the original agreement with Universal. The Guardians lineup was introduced in '08. Very good point. I appreciate you bringing that up. Yeah, no Thanos. So yes, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate you. Yeah, and you know, they tried some stuff before. Like there was a Doctor Strange like thing over in Disney Hollywood Studios in that what is now Pixar Place, and that lasted very short amount of time. And there was a Marvel shop that they had to take the sign down that said Marvel on the outside because they're very, sometimes they fight it and sometimes they don't, I guess, but yeah, they can get away with stuff
like
the
that. Monorail that had to be on the resort line couldn't be on the
the Avengers monorail, exactly.
The Avenger rail.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Avenger rail, yes. So thank you so much again for the super chats. We appreciate y'all. So let's move on to, again, talking about Dinoland, which, again, this is going to sting a little, I'm sure. So please, if you've got tissues nearby, you know, hold on. Those of us who have been with the animal kingdom since 1998 appreciate the uniqueness that is Dinoland. My kids played in the Dino Dig, but it's time to move on. This area is going to become extinct. Patrick seems to agree wholeheartedly. That's why he's nodding his head so much. We're going to get, as you guys already know, beautiful Josh Tomorrow has made this announcement several times, but one of them is there's going to be the Pueblo Esperanza with the casita on the hill and all that. And the first thing to go, the rumor is, again, we don't have substantiated information on this. This is a rumor, but it seems pretty accurate because Josh said this would happen in phases, is that the first phase is going to happen before the 2024 holidays begin. That seems really close. That's really close, and that means that it looks like the Chester and Hester's is going to go away. I never had a chance to go win one of the like branded Chester and Hester toys, and I never got a chance to, well, that's it. There's really, everything else is gone from there. It's basically just a parking lot. Are you going to miss any of this, Kamila?
They already ripped out the ride that I liked, which was Primeval Whirl. That I used to think that was like so fun. Like you felt like you were about to die, but then you like lived. But I will say, like, it does seem odd, or it's going to be odd to not have Dinoland USA or to not have like any dino representation, assuming, you know, that we lose dinosaur ride as well eventually. But I do understand them wanting to really maximize that real estate. And I think, you know, there's just popular IP that they've got to fit in somewhere.
Yep. Nope. I get it. Patrick?
You know, I was talking with Randiana today about this, and it's just like, why are we shutting this down before there's anything open to replace it? There are so many issues with capacity at the parks right now, and we're adding hotel rooms left and right, but we're shutting things down that could be eating people until you have something else open. I imagine, as per usual, it's cost cutting, it's money, but yeah, I'm gonna miss it. I could lament Dinosaur the whole time. I am more irritated by the way that they're closing and opening things than losing something I know I'm going to lose, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Desi?
While I'm going to miss Dinosaur the ride, the rest of it, get rid of it now. No desire to see any of it ever again. My kids played in the Boneyard once. They went down the slide, and one of them came out covered in somebody else's blood. And since then, I have not wanted to go back to the Boneyard. Grosses me out.
Okay, that seems like an isolated incident.
It
Horrifying.
still gross me out.
Horrifying, no doubt. But I was just like,
what's the resolution of that? What happened after?
We got free ice cream.
Seriously?
No, that's not
That
enough.
is what happened.
Seriously? Oh my God, my kid has blood on him and it's not not
And
his.
it's not. I'm like, what?
Have a Mickey Premium
what did you
bar
hurt?
on
What
us.
happened? He's like, I'm not hurt. What are you talking about? I go to the bathroom and clean it up. Sure enough, nope, he's not bleeding.
There's
I don't know whose
you
blood that
experienced
was.
a horror movie. What?
Get rid of it now. That's all I have to say.
We were talking with my son, who is grown now, but we were talking about the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids playground and his fond memories of that one. He has fond memories. We have nightmares of the time when he got away from us and we couldn't find him in there, because that one, whew, that one had some nooks and crannies in it, didn't it? And so it was, it was great to have a place where you're like, okay, you've either, like, your kid's been in a stroller all day or they've been waiting in lines all day. Let's let them just blow off some steam. And you have that with that Boneyard Dino Dig area, and you have it with, with you had it with the Splash Mountain kid play place, and you had it with the Mickey's Toontown Fair play place, and you have it with Tom Sawyer Island. But all of it's going away because it's gotta all be an insurance nightmare. Patrick, let me ask you before we go away from this: would you, before you heard that mess that that Desi just laid on us, which we will be haunted by forever?
Yeah, seriously.
Would you normally have, like, just let your kid just, like, go crazy in a place like that?
Cece's played in Dinoland. She's been digging in Dinoland. She had a really good time. There's still usually that little butterfly that's outside. I almost just called it mouse gears. Outside of the creation shop, that that's a good place to hang out at. I get it. It's probably, like you're saying, a insurance nightmare. Take your kids back to the resort every now and then if you're staying at a resort. Let them blow off some steam there. There's splash pads and playgrounds and stuff.
Yep. No, I got it. Let's move on to the next one, the Boardwalk, because we've talked about that. Good golly, the Boardwalk. Like, it seems like such a missed opportunity, especially with what you've been talking about, Patrick, about, like, stop shutting stuff down until you open other stuff up. The Boardwalk has been basically 50% boarded for, I can't even remember when, because there was that brewing company down at the end that I didn't even know was there.
I mean, that's still gone, right? There's
that's gone. And meanwhile, the ESPN's club went away like 900 years ago, and they've been working on this cake bake shop, which I'm very excited about. But the cake bake shop is one of those things where, is this ever going to open? I mean, they've been working
December
on
of 2023 it was supposed to open.
It's crazy, right? They've been working on it forever, and
why did the corn dog stand take that long, Rob?
Do you need a minute?
I wanted those corn dogs desperately. I planned my trip on having a corn dog and a lemonade every day from that place, and nothing. I was there in April. It was supposed to be open well before that. And what? Universal's halfway done with Epic Universe, and this bake shop and corn dog cart, it took several years. What is going on there that they can't finish these things? And do it better with the Boardwalk. The Boardwalk is the best resort on property. It has the most uniqueness. It just, the theming's great. It has entertainment in the evenings. It's a great resort. There should be no reason that all these places are getting shuttered.
I would argue Poly or Animal Kingdom are better.
No, Boardwalk's better.
Well, the cool. Okay, just asking, just trying to figure that out. You're shaking your head.
Listen here, Star Cruiser. I see you shaking your head. All right.
I mean, obviously the Star Cruiser is better, but yeah, I'm going to agree with Rob. Poly and Animal Kingdom, for sure.
The original Poly, not
the tower.
What did they call the Holiday Inn? Somebody said in chat.
Yeah, Holiday Inn.
But I mean, the restaurants, I mean, all of them are amazing, but I think you're right that the Boardwalk can be that. I remember the energy when it first opened up, but like the ESPN, like with the arm going up, and then the arm stopped going up, and then it started closing a lot, and then it was just shuttered, and then it's been nothing. And when you have to walk by a lot of closed things to get to the park, it feels even emptier because you're passing by all that stuff. So, I mean, there's been a lot of it that's been shuttered for COVID. There's been a lot of it that they just closed. It seems like it should be open more often than it is. So let's move on to the Disneyland gates. And Kamila, I'm going to come to you about this one because I am of a mixed mind about this one, because I know that on the one side, it's very charming. Everything about Disneyland is charming, but it's charming that you still walk through a turnstile. However, it feels like it's the most archaic park entry system I have ever seen, because Ethel's there, and if you haven't activated your ticket yet, she's got to figure out how the phone works and get your picture before you go in. I mean, so basically what's happening is that they are redoing the gates finally. There are going to be new entry gates. So how do you feel about that?
It's beyond time. They need to redo everything about the entry system at Disneyland. I will say I actually maybe would prefer the focus to be on the security process and trying to make that a little bit faster and more efficient. But I think the turnstiles, they're not that charming. And, you know, when you make it that close to Disneyland, after all the trauma you get to just to get to the front gates, whether you parked at Mickey and Friends and got on a tram and had to do the security line there, or you walked over on the harbor side and had to deal with that security line like I just did literally a week ago, I felt like that's what took the longest more than anything. But no, I would say any kind of upgrade around just literally getting into the parks is desperately needed, and hopefully steps in the right direction.
Yeah. Patrick, you looked like you had opinions.
It's so cute and quaint, like you're saying. I just hope it doesn't lose its specialness, its uniqueness, while making it more accessible and easier to get through.
Okay, well,
maybe what they can do is they can have one line that's just turnstiles for the two of you, and the rest of us will like join modernity. Okay, since it's so cute and quick, because it's really not. It's like silver and ugly, and it doesn't even look that old. Like, what are we talking about?
Okay,
it's really not.
All right,
but
let
maybe
me ask
they
you,
can
Kamila,
have one for the two of you.
For my line, can I walk in with a paper ticket too, please, or maybe a ticket book? Can I walk in with a ticket book? That would be great. I would pay for that nostalgia.
You know, I want them to break. Let's have Josh announce that at the next D23. And like, I feel like that will work for so many fans. Like, announce nothing else but that.
70th anniversary coming up. That's all I'm saying. 70th anniversary. Let's throw it back. Throw it back all the way. Yeah, a special line for the people who like the old ways. I like paper. Let me go through just like the paper experience. Like, I'm going to have paper fast passes all day. There's going to be actual little bottles of soap in my room. Like shampoo, everything's going to be the way it used to be back in the day. I'm actually going to have to check in at the front desk and meet somebody. It's going to be great. I'm loving it. Oh, yeah. Like, you flexing over there? What is that?
All right. Rob's taking it a bit too far, but can we bring back paper fast pass? Oh my God, lady!
I got my paper fast pass. I've got my monorail pilot card. Remember these days?
Are they laminated, Desi?
No, maybe I should.
It looked like
but
it
yeah,
was laminated.
I hold on to it for nostalgic purposes.
What were you gonna say, Patrick?
I don't want to go full Rob and make everything
Nobody does. Nobody does.
But let's go paper fast pass. We're gonna talk about the DAS thing next. There's my solution. Let's go paper fast pass. It worked.
Okay. All right. So I don't know if this group has talked about the DAS disability access service, but it's still a point of contention, and I know that Tom had a little bit of a rant on it before, but it's really hard as a Disney fan and I see both sides. I honestly do. But it's really hard as a Disney fan not to go, why are you not giving these people more? Especially when you see the girl who's like got a tube in her throat saying, I'm not enough, like I'm not disabled enough to get a DAS. What? And then the most recent one we talked about was the gentleman who had terminal cancer, he was like, I need, because I don't have the stamina to make it through the park, but I want to spend these moments with my family. And they're like, nope, if you're not autistic, we're not giving that to you. And it was like, that's a lot. So there was a story that came up this week that the DAS had been adjusted. So I was like, okay, that's good. That's good news. They're listening. But what they did was they said that the validity period has been extended. And there's an asterisk on that too, because the validity period, you're gonna be okay? You all right, buddy?
Good.
You need a minute? Okay,
I'm
cool.
sorry. No,
All right, no, we're all good. So the validity, like the pass was valid for 120 days, which was an upgrade from, and I guess they thought they were giving a little bit since they were taking something away. It was a 60-day. Now it's 120 days before you have to renew it. Then now they've gone 240. It's kind of like they're following that Twitter model of adding characters, but there's going to be 240 days you can have this. But if you already have one, it doesn't count for you. You've got to go back and reapply to count for the 240-day one. So that's not the change we were looking for. And I get it that from Disney's standpoint, they're like, people were gaming the system. But on the other side, you made people game the system when you said, hey, there's this thing called Genie Plus, and you have to pay for passes. So, Patrick, thoughts on that on the disability access?
Goodness gracious.
I know.
Sure.
It's tough. It's tough.
The issue is that people are taking advantage of the system.
Yep.
However, the fact of the matter is the system is broken, and people are taking advantage of it because you have priced people out, and so everyone is looking for every little leg up. We'll talk about it more in the It Came from the Parks. There are way more things that need to be on that list than some neurodiversity and some autism spectrum disorder. I've worked with people with autism for most of my career, and there's plenty of my individuals that could wait in line, but there's my family members who I stopped going on attractions with us and missed time with families because of IBS, because of leaky bladders and things like that. The nerves that it takes to get through a line and have an accident as a grown adult is so tremendous that you're missing out on these experiences with your families, and that's what Disney is supposed to be all about. They need to revamp the entire system, and they need to take some ownership of it. They can't just put it off to a third party. And
Yep. So that's what they did in Universal, is they had a different system, and it was kind of put off to a third party, and then they are getting rid of that system now. So it's kind of like, at this point, Disney needs to do something because Universal's made a move. However, again, if you listen to Tom's speech about it, it was probably around HHN that they installed this system to make sure people were paying for express passes. And now it's almost over HHN, and they're like, oh, well, we'll rescind it. And then probably put something else in place. Kamila, any thoughts before we move on?
I definitely think that they need to continue to think about this one, because it still just feels like you are excluding some people who, I think, to Patrick's point, to the point of so many people who have been talked about, the fact that they're now shut out from receiving these DAS passes. They clearly need to still kind of work this out. And it seems difficult, but it also seems like it shouldn't be this difficult. But I think also, it's some people and a lack of integrity that are ruining it for a lot of others. And it just kind of highlights the fact that we need people to do the right thing for, good things to be possible for everyone. And but I do hope they continue to revise this.
Yeah, and you're right. Like, it's hard to figure out, because I think that we want the people who need it to have it, and that's the high horse we're on here. Is the people who need it should have it. The problem is there are a lot of people who are going to game the system. Same thing as like eBay and limits. There's nothing more frustrating than the fact that, hey, I want to get one of these things, not because I want to resell it, but I want it for me. And then I want to get one for my son because he might want one. And then now, but I want a third one for my daughter, but you can't do that because it's the limit of 2. Well, I want them because I have people who care about these things, not because I'm going to go and sell them online. So, that makes it difficult, but I get why. Same thing with this. I get why you're doing it, but again, this feels like something Disney started because of charging for Fast Pass Lightning Lane. Genie Plus, Lightning Lane Multipass, whatever you want to call it, it just seems like it's a bad move. And I really think that a lot of these people would be very happy if, especially because a lot of them are AP, if you just said, hey, we're going to add this onto your AP cost or include it in the top tier, and they would say, yes, I'll do that. And then Disney's still going to get some money. But anyway, let's turn to a segment that we call I call. I say we call, I call. I'm still trying to make this stick. It came from the parks. And this started because there were a lot of very strange stories that we post on WDWNT.com. You should check it out sometime. Not right now. You're busy. But these strange tales that happen usually are bad. I have 2 this week. And as was pointed out to me in the pre-show, one was like a part 2. So it's really just 2 stories. That one was about I'll read you the headlines, but usually, again, the longer the headline, the more insane the story is usually. But again, we have a good story this time, a good vibes one. A woman arrested and dragged out of the Disney park after lying about kids' ages. Now, that's not the good one, in case you were wondering. Cast member saves guest life on the 21st of September at Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. And the way that they saved the life was they didn't play conga. No? Okay.
No.
So
if you do this, does that give him, if you do a thumbs
stop.
down, will that make bad graphics for Rob?
Great.
You Hurricane Desi again. That's what you did. She just got over it.
You would think she would be avoiding the thumbs down, and so I'm sorry I drove you to that. So each of our panelists will pick one of these stories to talk about, and we're going to start with you, Kamila. And again, you guys can pick the same one all the way through. These are just strange tales. Which one you got?
I mean, I have to talk about Our Lady that was dragged from the parks, because I started to see those videos everywhere, and it was fascinating to hear some of the rumors that people were saying about why she was being, led out of the parks, not backstage, by the way, like just, right through DCA. Sounds like Anaheim PD was like involved, and they were leading her out, and her kids were right there like screaming in Spanish, help me, help me. So what was so interesting to me about this was, and this was like before we knew why, people were speculating like whatever she did, it must have been really bad, because they don't drag you through the front like that for just anything. But it was also interesting to see how many people were like, Disney handled this wrong. How could they do that? They traumatized her kids. And what's interesting is, like, if you hear audio from that video, she's cussing, she's fighting it, like, in front of her kids. So to me, like, the people blaming Disney is kind of a fascinating thing. But also, once we found out that the reason she was being dragged out is because she lied about her kids being under 3 and therefore able to get in free, when actually they were 3 and 4 years old, I believe. Which, at that point you should pay. And it sounds like that's a conversation they had with her, is you need to pay. And she was like, no. And then they also confirmed that she had done this like 4 times in the last 2 months. So many people having conversations around this I saw were like, Disney should just let in all kids free. Why is Disney charging kids? Like, just all these things. And I'm just like, you all know this is not a charity, right? Like, the fact that they even allow kids in under 3 free, I think is nice of them. They don't have to do that. And frankly, if you all keep this up, they'll take that away too, or they'll get more strict about you having to prove it. And now, because so many people were saying like, oh, I lied about my kids, until they were 5, 6 or just whatever. And so it's just like, the lack of integrity is ruining the experience and the magic for others. And just how many people are like, oh, this happens all the time, or my parents used to do this. It's like, well, now we're probably going to get to a place where, they're going to ask you to show proof and not be ashamed about it. Because look at how many people lie, and look at what they do when they get caught. Instead of just being like, oh, okay, I'll pay. Like, she's screaming and cursing in front of her kids while being dragged out publicly. I don't know.
Yeah.
That one made me upset.
Well, yeah, I agree. And it reminds me of the one where they took the 3, like it was like a 5-year-old or something, that they snuck in the bottom of a stroller, like that story. Yeah, I mean, it's I think we all forget this. it's a park for kids. It's a park for families, right? So, the idea that you would, small kids, it seems like they can't take it in, although you do enjoy it when you have a 2-year-old, taking them and seeing them, the wonder when they meet Mickey Mouse and things like that. So, it's, this goes back to the DAS thing. It's like, you know what, we have this because it makes sense. And then when Disney starts to enforce these other things, it makes us go, Disney. But also, this woman, she's yelling Hopper all the way out the front gate, I guess.
Remember Hopper.
Remember Hopper. Patrick, which one?
Oh, do you think I'm gonna dare touch that story? Thank God for cast members, ENTs, and nurses who did an amazing job and saved the life. That is truly incredible. The thing that I want to make abundantly clear in this is that there needs to be defibrillators everywhere in these parks. You should not be more than 20 feet from a defibrillator. They should be closer than the trash cans Walt wanted. And if you are a parent, you should do your best to take CPR. I was a certified CPR instructor for a very long time. I thankfully never had to do it, but I've always been prepared. And don't, I can't say this because a defibrillator is completely idiot proof. You're not going to hurt somebody with it. If you take a shot, but if there's somebody there that is trained, they should do it. But yeah, thank God for those people for saving a life.
Yep, agree. Okay, and Desi?
Because I have not had internet, I have not heard of either of these stories until just now.
Okay, so make one up.
I guess the woman who was arrested for having her, was it a 4-year-old? 4-year-olds old. I'm sorry, can't pass for 2. I don't care how small your 4-year-old is; they're not going to pass for 2. I babysat a 2-year-old today because my friend's house was flooded and she had to, clean up a whole bunch of stuff. So I watched her 2-year-old, and that 2-year-old is huge. He's bigger than my 4-year-old. I don't know how you can tell what age kids are based on height, based on that kind of stuff, other than their mannerisms. And a 4-year-old is, no matter how small they are, is never going to act like a 2-year-old. I don't know how she thought she was going to get away with that. That seems pretty crazy to me. But also the fact that I now have to pay for my kids at 3 and 4 years old at adult prices, because there is no child's price anymore, is mind-boggling to me. And it happened like right before they aged up, that they went from having a child's AP and an adult's AP to just, you get an AP, one price, doesn't matter if you're 3 or 103. I think that's wild. And it's like DAS, because Disney wants to do shady stuff and try to get money out of people. People are going to try to find a way to get around it.
You know what? I feel like you and I were the only ones that were upset about that change when APs came back, because it was like they stopped doing DVC discounts and they stopped doing children's discounts. And I'm like over here about DVC, and you're like, yeah, but my kids, it's so expensive. Yeah, you're right. Like it I don't know. I don't know. We're not going to be able to fix that one today, but also that's one of those things that at least it's not a hidden cost like a lot of the other stuff is, because once you buy your AP, you have your AP. But, then it's like, oh, well, what's the Lightning Lane surge price for today for Guardians? Or, how much is it going to cost me for, I don't know. It's just, I wish they would make everything more inclusive. And I think that's what a lot of people want when they go on vacation, is to know the price tag from the get-go and be able to save up for it and pay for it and it be more inclusive. So I get that that's why some people love the Disney dining plan, etc. But yeah, it's a lot. Let's talk about shampoo and soap and stuff. Because again, this is one of those things like I was talking about before. They used to give you the little bottles and then you just scoop them into your bag and take them home and put them in your guest bathroom, and it's a Mickey Mouse bathroom. No one else on here did that, I'm sure. But they have that, like the under lock and key dispensers that are in the showers that were done with H2O plus, which I think most people love that brand, and then they went out of business and Disney bought the formula from them. But finally, after just shoving stickers on top of the H2O brand in the rooms, now they've actually made them Disney branded with this new formula that they have. So we already knew this because they were in the on the cruise line, and now they're showing up at the Disney resorts. But Patrick, I liked it when there were individual bottles.
I still have some. My wife was crazy about stuff like that. We still have some in the closet. I'm just happy these are still here because it is one of my favorite smells on the face of the earth. I love it so much. I have a small complaint.
Okay.
Those don't look like All-Star Sports or All-Star, whatever All-Stars those came out of. That looks like Grand Floridian soap. Why can't we make labels different for the resorts?
You know why.
Let's get some theming.
You know why.
I do know why, and I'm tired of that being an excuse. I want better theming on my shampoo bottles. I was furious that they just threw stickers over them. Come on, Disney. Also, why can't it just be H2O, now by Disney? We already knew that brand, It had brand identity.
That's a good point. Yeah. Like how, when they do the retro action figures for Star Wars, they put the Kenner name on it, but Kenner doesn't exist anymore. Like that kind of a thing, like the throwback.
Yeah.
No one here cares about that. Kamila, are you into this?
Yeah, I mean, what's funny is when I saw what they look like now, my thought was like, oh, that looks like the cruise line. And then you confirm that it matches like what's on the cruise line, or the cruise line got it first, or whatever it was. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think for a lot of people who went to the Disney parks as a kid, especially when you used to get the individual bottles, there's a lot of nostalgia around these scents, around the idea that they used to be bottles. I'm pretty sure you can buy them now, which feels very Disney. It's like it still exists. You just have to pay for it. It's not free anymore. But yeah, I it's good to see. I don't know. I'm always a little hesitant to use those. So I tend to just still bring my own and use that. So
here's the fun thing with me. I have glasses, but only to see and things that are in text. Not to see, but to see things that are like read. When I get into the shower and I look at those bottles, I can't tell which one's which. So it's like this. It's like shampoo roulette. Ah, that's the body wash. Oh well. Next time's the charm. Ah, that's conditioner. Oh well. So I need to start focusing on the colors, but maybe this is going to be something better for me. Desi, I know you don't spend a lot of time in the Disney hotels, but for that reason, I was going to ask you: are you a fan of the H2O brand?
Okay, so I told you guys earlier that my kids got into my Star Cruiser merchandise and opened it, and it broke my heart.
Yes.
However, I also told you that we did not have water that we could drain. Like the drains weren't working in my city, but we could still run water. So my husband went outside to use the hose to take a shower, and he took with him my last H2O soap.
No!
Whoa. Oof.
Yeah.
Do we need to get a couch
I've
ready
had
for
a
him?
really hard day.
I know.
I do know a good divorce lawyer in Florida.
But he's so handsome. He's so
I
handsome.
know.
Just let him get
He's
away
lucky
with
he's
it.
handsome.
He's cute.
It was really upsetting.
Wow,
Oh,
that's
Desi.
you're gonna be okay. You're not gonna be okay, are you? This is
Probably not.
irreversible, irreconcilable differences. What happened? Well, let me tell you. You know those little soaps that they have at Disney? That's what happened.
That they had at Disney, past tense.
Yeah. I mean, but doesn't it feel like, so I went through some of my stuff and found some, again, because I'm a hoarder in general, but especially when it comes to Disney stuff, I actually found some toiletries from Grand Floridian and the one night that I stayed there one time that were themed to the Grand Floridian, to your point, Patrick.
Yeah.
It was legitimately themed toiletries, not just the Mickey black and white and red bottles and things, but legitimate, looks like it's out of the Grand Floridian. And I just was like, why don't they do this anymore? I feel like if it's at one of the deluxes, they should spend a little bit more money and do that kind of thing, especially now that this is their brand. So I don't know. It's a very challenging time. Speaking of challenges, there's tech stuff that was going on because Disney's their system that allowed you to make payments went down, and this is that time when technology fails us and just is the most frustrating thing in the whole world. Imagine if you were stuck in your house without internet, Desi.
She is going to fly to your location and put a hurting on you.
No. I mean, again, I can't. But because you've had this frustration, the idea was that whatever payment system that Disney uses, third party, went down everywhere. So they lost Disneyland, Disney World, and also Shop Disney or DisneyStore.com all at the same time. But when you go into the parks and you're trying to like schedule lightning lanes and things like that, and it's this pardon our inconvenience, it probably makes you want to snap your phone in half. I don't know that there's an answer for this, but Patrick, say something.
Oh, sure. There's like 6 POS, that's point of sale systems in the entire country, and so if one goes down, it's going to affect so many of them. Bring cash sometimes, I guess. That's, have a little cash as a backup.
It was funny to me that their answer to this was, "But we can take PayPal." What? What? Is this an eBay transaction? What are we doing? Like, that's, I mean, again, you just,
All right,
you
but
feel
I'm
like
not
a
doing it as friends and family, Disney. You have to pay the fees.
You have to pay the surcharge. Do you take Venmo? No. Cash App? Okay. Zelle? No. All right,
Zelle?
great. Exactly. It just seems like one of those things where I can't imagine like how frustrated I would be with that. Kamila, thoughts?
I just cannot imagine. I finally make it back to DCA. There's one thing that I go to DCA for, and it is the churro toffee. And I can't imagine I finally make it to, I think it's like Trolley Treats or whatever that has it. And I was just there. I literally just finished actually my last churro toffee. So it's like very much on my mind. But like, I can't imagine not being able to get it because their payment system is down. I'd be like, well, that sounds like a you problem, so it's free, right? But no, I think Patrick is right. Have cash, because I have seen this happen multiple times. And even like at the festival booths, I've seen just those go down. And so the moral of the story is be prepared, but have some cash. And also, if you have not tried the churro toffee at DCA, it's worth it. It's worth the trip.
You're the one who's always saying this show, being on this show, makes you spend money. And here you are shilling this churro toffee. And I assume it's because you want everybody to love it so that they continue to carry it forever.
Yes,
is that why?
yes,
this is all selfish.
And that we can find it at more places, because I will be at Disney World in a few months, and it blows my mind that I cannot find it anywhere at Disney World, but Disneyland has it in like downtown Disney and also at DCA. Like, it doesn't make sense, but it's so good. Don't do what I did and only buy 2, buy 5. It actually lasts well. You can travel with it easily. Highly recommend.
Where can we find it in Disney World soon?
No, you can't. You can't.
No, I'm saying we need to be able to. Please.
I just want Disneyland churros. Like, I'm getting into threads, and the amount of people that go from Disneyland to Disney World, like, what's wrong with your churros? Just like, shut up, your castle's small.
Oh, whoa! It is interesting the difference between the two parks, and that again, we've talked about that before with like Christmas offerings. Like there's like, here's the Disneyland Christmas offerings food wise, and here's the Disney World Christmas. Why aren't you doing the same ones? Why are they completely different? That seems like a lot of extra work. So I mean, same thing with like the foods and things. But again, foods could be regional, right?
No, but not these. Like, there's no excuse. But also, the chocolate chip cookie, I also had that at Harbor Galley, I think it was. They were not lying. It's not overhyped. It's better than Gideon's, and it's also cheaper. So, but you got to be able to afford to get it to Disneyland. So there's that.
Well, and it also depends on if you go through the nostalgia line or the regular line too. That's going to be a big thing too. Let's move on to talk about Jollywood. Jollywood, we talked about a little bit, I think, last week, and we were talking about the fact that it was so poorly reviewed the very first year, which was last year, that I thought there was no way this is coming back. And boy, they're still trying, and I'm like, they didn't even rename it or anything.
Good.
I agree. I'm just saying that the reviews of
But
it
I
were
didn't
horrible.
go the first. I didn't go the first day like Kamila did. I think she went for the bad day.
Oh yes, I know. So they've rolled out what the food is going to be, the list of food and beverages for Jollywood, and I got to tell you, it looks pretty amazing. Although this one I think is like a croissant, but to me it looked like a Liege waffle. It's the Agent P waffle croissant dipped in caramel chocolate. Agent P. It's got the little hat. And it's got like the it's
I
Perry
thought it was
colored.
Indiana Jones until
Oh
you said
really?
it was Agent P, just because of the hat.
I mean, like this peanut butter and jelly like donut. I think they had that last time. The popovers. I mean, the food, and the drinks. By the way, at Tip Top Club last year, I thought were mediocre. I don't know if you had any of those, Desi. Have you looked at this list? Are you going back to Jollywood this year?
It's not in budget for me this year because I spent all my money going to Tokyo. Which,
Wow.
but I mean, I had a great time at Jollywood. I thought it was well worth the money, and it looks like it's going to be great again this year. All that food looked good to me. I
you
did
see
not
it?
get a chance to go to the Tip Top Club last year because I didn't want to waste the little time that I had just waiting to get into the Tip Top Club. So
So
missed
I
out
wasted
on
my
that.
time. Got it.
Did you get in right away, or did you have to wait a while?
No, I didn't wait in a line. We just walked right down and like went and up to the bar
Oh,
and ordered some mediocre drinks. That was it.
I was under the
So
impression it was going to take a long time.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like Kamila, you said you didn't want to talk about this, but you're nodding your head a lot. So comments about Jollywood in general?
I'm just listening.
Okay.
You know, I the only thing I will say is I have not bought a ticket to Jollywood. I will be there once again this year when I'll have the opportunity to go, but so far I'm resisting, and I'm just going to go to Mickey's Very Merry instead.
Where you can
Screw
get
you,
cookies.
Jollywood.
Right, exactly. But Patrick, you're going to be there during the
Yeah,
Jollywood night, right?
I also will be there when we get off air, baby. Kamila and I will be on together. We can take a boat ride. It'll be the best.
Oh,
So,
oof, oof, oof.
things that have happened in the Hackett household recently. Number one, I showed Cece, my daughter, a little bit about Jollywood. And I'm like, this seems like it's for grown-ups, right? She's like, there's an ice skating show? There's a Kermit show? So that didn't work out as I thought. And then I texted my wife this list of menus, and she reminded me, but we are not going to that. I said, but we could go to that. So we are playing Jollywood Nights by ear. If it sells out, it wasn't meant to be, but there's a chance. I am definitely going to Very Merry, and I'm going to eat my money's worth in cookies and free hot cocoa.
That
I
feels
think
like what you
Shayna's
should
already
do.
looking at the map. Yes, I love it. I think Shayna's like planning out, and now she has Cece aboard with it. She's like, yeah, we're going to get all the cookies and hot chocolate. Great. I just want to watch the parade and the fireworks, so I guess we could do cookies and hot chocolate otherwise.
You'll just miss out on the champagne flavored marshmallows
No.
at Jollywood.
Rob, do you think I'm going to miss out on champagne flavored marshmallows? I'll find champagne flavored marshmallows.
Okay. All right. Just making sure.
I'm
Just making sure.
resourceful.
Yeah, no, I believe in you, buddy. One of the things that's happened is in the past few years, at least, the land has become a place. Like living with the land has become a place where they go and they decorate it for different things. They decorated it this time for food and wine. There's little displays and things. They did some stuff for Flower and Garden. They did some stuff for Festival of the Arts, and for the Festival of the
Arts.
Holidays, for the Festival of Holidays, they do it up with these lights, which are amazing. And yet, as many times as I've gone to see it, I always go during the day, and I've not seen it at night yet, which is crazy, I know. But they are now offering a behind the scenes tour. They like that's the behind the scenes is the tour that they usually do during the day, where they go and they walk you through the back and they show you all of the hydroponics and tell you what everything is. And it's a great tour. It's usually, I think, 30 to 40 bucks, and it's like an hour, and it's not, I mean, most of the tours are very extensive and very expensive. This one, it's a good tour for the money. If you've never done it, if you've gone to Disney several times and you're looking for a new thing to do, I would highly recommend it. But now they're going to do one for the holiday overlay, and it's called the Glimmering Greenhouses at Living with the Land. Actually, the whole name, let's just do the whole name: Behind the Seeds, Glimmering Greenhouses at Living with the Land. Now, when you ask for that, make sure you ask for the entire name or else they won't know what you're talking about. I don't know if you all have done the tours or anything like that, but I don't know. Desi, would you, like, this is an hour tour, it's very affordable. Would you take the family to go do this?
I have been on the behind the scenes tour. I don't know if I would do it again just because I don't know how different it would be just to have lights there. But if I had never done it, I think this would be a perfect time to do it. It's a good tour. Did they charge any extra for this one versus the daytime one?
No, I think it's
Or
about
is
the
it
same
the same
price.
price?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
if it's
about
the
the same
same
price.
price, then heck yeah. If you've never done this before, go take your family to it. It's a fun tour. It doesn't cost that much. And then you get to see it like with all this pretty decor and everything. Yeah, I think this is the time to do it. If you've never done it before, heck
Yeah,
yeah.
it's listed as $45, so maybe $5 more than, but per
I think
guest will
that
be
would be
offered
worth it.
November 29th through December 30th, subject to availability. You can purchase them starting September 30th, which is tomorrow. Behind the Scenes
Probably
Glimmering Greenhouses tour.
probably super Instagrammable.
Well, I mean, then there you go. You get your money's worth instantly. Um, yeah, Patrick, will you be going?
Yep,
Will you?
100%. That happened today. Yeah, no, I'm going. We haven't done behind the scenes. I don't think I ever knew that what the age limit was, and when I saw, I'm shocked. It is my daughter. One of her favorite attractions is Living with the Land because she's a good kid, and that's what's important. She likes People Mover and Living with the Land. I raised her well. So yeah, I'm doing this. I'm so excited. I've always wanted to do the behind the scenes tour, and I'm a Christmas person, so I'm very very excited.
I just picture in your house though. Do you go with like a PowerPoint to your wife and you go, "Look, there's this new behind the scenes tour. Let me show you. Let me show you why we need to go to this." Because it sounds
It
like you
is.
need a
I
seller on it.
I send the link and like a pouty face like
Yeah, I'd totally fall for that.
I
Uh,
know it works every time.
Kamila?
So I would do this if they had at the end like a little like tasting session, because like you're walking through
Ooh,
all these like fruits
ooh.
and vegetables. Like I want to try it. If not, like what are we doing?
Don't they?
So what I
They
will be doing, oh, I don't know, do they?
They
yeah,
don't.
we
I don't
I
tasted
think
I
so.
have
cucumbers
not.
and stuff when I did it.
You weren't supposed to. You got everyone in trouble for that when you got off the boat to get the cucumbers.
I would be more likely to consider it if I knew for sure like that was going to be a part of it. But since if it's not, I'm just going to do the free version and just go on the ride.
Okay. Yeah, that is the free version, isn't it? But you won't know how they put all the lights in. But I do think it's funny that they put this overlay in, and I'd like to think that like Steve and Beth were in the back one day going, we should zhuzh up our attraction for Christmas, and they just put out some lights, and then that grew kind of like the Osborne lights. It just kind of grew and grew and grew, and every year it gets bigger, and then again they added it to festivals and things like that. So it is pretty neat to think that it has grown so much that now there's a behind the scenes tour of the lights and that are there. But hopefully they also will give you some snacks. Maybe they give you the milk and cookies that are left over from what Patrick had left over from the Christmas party. You never know.
Even that would
Um,
help.
I just want to hit one more thing before we go, and it's a bit of hotel news that I thought was pretty interesting because the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, you guys are familiar, has approved a 10-story hotel at the Reflections Lodge site, or at least the construction of, because there's going to be cranes and things that take up a lot of space. 10-story hotel, though, that doesn't, is that a 10-story hotel? Do we think that they're making Reflections, Patrick?
Stop trying to make reflections happen.
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
Reflect.
Got it.
Yeah, this is. Why are we putting a 10-story hotel there? Why? What? We need more room in the park. Stop bringing more people into the resort when there's not a lot of things to do, and you close things down, and like you're wall to wall in people. You don't need any more hotel inventory until you increase capacity in the parks.
Yeah. No, you're right. I'd like again. I agree, and I've been saying fifth gate because, and people are like, no, they need to get these parks right. I'm like, no, fifth gate. Like you don't have to fill in the rivers of America if you can build this Cars attraction at a fifth gate. You don't have to demolish something else in order. I mean, because they've got the blessing of size. Why aren't they doing that? I feel like they should do a fifth gate, but everybody is like, no. They're good. They just need to make these parks better. I still think that you need to increase capacity when Disneyland has 2 parks and 3 hotels, and Disney World has 26 hotels and
That's
4
different.
parks. Okay, I'm sorry, that's different. And well, what about your indoor pool that you were talking about? They need to make
Just
that
give
happen
me
too.
if you know what, I'll forgive Reflections if I get an indoor pool.
Okay, if you say so. All right. Well, thank you guys for being with us tonight. We appreciate it. And again, our thoughts go out to everybody who's still struggling out there with the aftermath of Helene, which we're going to see for a long time. If Desi hadn't made it tonight, that would have included her. But she's getting there. She's getting there. Her only struggle we can't fix. That was the whole being locked in with people who wanted to mess with her stuff.
Open up all of my Disney merch.
Yeah, exactly. Seriously, though, when my son was born, I had all these Star Wars action figures, and I thought to myself, if he opens them, I will cry. And yet they're toys, and they're right there. They were on display, and I was just like, and Patrick's looking around going, wait a minute, I've got a lot of stuff in here.
I just hope she doesn't get any taller. Scared. They're out of her reach right now. I'm not worried about the bar that I have here. This is a bar. But no, the toys. The toys is what I'm worried about.
Is there a child safety lock down there on one of those cabinets?
There is. It's not locked, but there's.
That's my favorite kind of lock because it's got the button on it. Confuses the heck out of them.
Yep.
And your kids are all like,
I don't like this.
Yeah.
Psychological
That
abuse
button
of
doesn't
the
do
lock.
anything.
Well, anyway, thank you guys so much also for watching tonight. If you are one of our WIGS members, we love our WIGS, the WDWNT Interglobe Society. You guys are great. Thank you. We love our WIGS. We don't love Star-Lord's WIGS. Star-Lord's WIGS are horrible. They're the worst. So thank you guys for being members of our family. We're going to have a quick post show after this. The other thing I want to mention is that we have coming up on Deep in the Plus last week, Desi and I talked about EPCOT Becoming, which, you might want to swing by and check that out. It's on this channel. You can go to deepintheplus.com to find out any of these. This week, Patrick and I are going to be doing Girl versus Monster. And then also Ron's coming to do Blackbeard's Ghost. And then on October 16th, as a continuation of spooky season, do you want to do the thing, Desi? Desi's going to do Edward Scissorhands. There we go. So hopefully you guys will join us on Wednesday nights for Deep in the Plus at 9 p.m. Eastern, and then again next Sunday night for another ParksCenter at 9 p.m. Eastern. Thank you guys so much for being with us. Have a great week, and again, be safe out there, and we'll see you next time. Let's just let it all ride. Just let it all ride. Just do it. I try to sing along.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh Lord, this nonsense. That was harsh. That was harsh.